Welcome to the Rap Drugs Pod, y'all.
How's it going, everybody?
Good. Just enjoying basketball being back,
Yeah,
Watching the scrimmages so far. Stuff happening.
dressed up like Ash Ketchum, going out to catch all them fucking Pokemon on the court.
Pokemon's fucking cool. That was like all I watched when I was growing up, and you came into my life.
You can.
I wish I was Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, you look more like that dumbass kid he fights the first time. The other fucking 10-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, I'd be like an NPC even more so. Don't even have Pokemon.
Yeah. You're that guy that has like 5 Caterpies and like fucking is like, why'd I lose?
Oh yeah,
yeah. 5.
Definitely. I've got a Pidgey. I can't even catch a Pidgey.
Yeah. They're all just cocoons.
5 Caterpies and lose to 1 Pidgey.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anyways.
That was a fun ass game and show though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Good times.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this week we're not going to talk all about Pokemon the whole time. I mean, we might get back into it later if Operation Midnight Climax gets us back into it.
Yeah, somehow. Probably not.
Yeah, no. We're finally getting into some crazy CIA stuff. Let me get my head plugged in. Hopefully that wasn't too weird for the first couple minutes there.
So yeah, I don't know where to start with this one. I guess just with I guess it's our old buddy George White here. He's heading up this program. So if you want to check out more about him, we talk about him on our other podcasts.
Yeah,
leading up to this.
Might even have a clip. Yeah.
Do we?
On that episode, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
check
out
out
the YouTube if you want to just hear about George White.
But yeah, just a little recap. He used to be in the doing different mind control programs during World War II. Everybody knows. Then after World War II, they asked him to step down from the OSS and go back to being a narcotics officer. He didn't want to do. He did, and he always wanted to get back into the CIA, but never had an opportunity because no one in the CIA really liked him too much. He was seen as a rough kind of guy, and they were like, I don't know, frat boys. And so Sidney Gottlieb, though, he felt kind of similar to George White. They were both kind of outcasts of the CIA. Sidney Gottlieb being Jewish, but not really. Born Jewish, but not following the faith.
Yeah, they both wanted to kill JFK for Ellen Duel.
Yeah.
But he got someone else to do it.
They both only knew Alan Duels and each other. Other than that, they were kind of ousted. But so Sidney Gottlieb gave him the go ahead to do a project for him.
Nice.
And that project ended up being the Midnight Climax. I think I read somewhere, and I think I've talked about this before on the pod, that this was based on some of Mr. Crowley's ideas, Aleister Crowley. And his he used to experiment with psychedelics and sex back in the day and have these whack ideas that, if you took a bunch of, I don't know, it was like a mix of DMT and like some other drugs that aren't super common. He thought you can mix them all together and smoke them and then have sex at the same time and pass on to another dimension or something like that, or enter into the higher sphere of living, I think is what he called it. Something whack like that.
Some sex magic stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
If you want to hear more about that, we've talked about it before.
Magic with a K. Yeah, that was also in the same OSS pod.
Yeah.
We went kind of deep on that stuff.
That's kind of where he got the ideas, I guess, is the rumor. I think it's more so. I don't know if it's fact written anywhere. But so George White, anyways, he gets the fine idea to see what happens when you hire a prostitute to try and get information out of someone, and then also dose them with LSD at the same time.
Yeah. So Here's quickly before you get into the deeper into the LSD and sex with the Operation Midnight Climax. I want to just bring up Aleister Crowley's Wikipedia page, Magic and Theology. So this is where like even L. Ron Hubbard Scientology, we talked about this in number 5 too, comes into play, is with the magic with a K at the end. Crowley believed in the objective existence of magic, which he chose to spell magic with a K, an older archaic spelling of the word. He provided various different definitions of this term over his career. In his book, Magick in Theory and Practice, Crowley defined magic as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. He also told his disciple, Carl Germer, that magic is getting into communication with individuals who exist on a higher plane than ours. Mysticism is the raising of oneself to their level. Crowley saw magic as a third way between religion and science, giving the equinox the subtle of the method of science, the aim of religion. Within that journal, he expressed positive sentiments towards science and the scientific method, and urged magicians to keep detailed records of their magical experiments. The more scientific the record is, the better. Research is number one. At least he respects the research.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can respect from this guy.
Yeah.
His understanding of magic was also influenced by the work of anthropologist James Fraser, in particular the view that magic was a precursor to science in a cultural evolutionary framework. Unlike Fraser, however, Crowley did not see magic as a survival from the past that required eradication, but rather he believed that magic had to be adapted to suit the new age of science. So he thought like, yeah, we can sacrifice people for the greater good if it's for science. Like, we gotta document it properly.
Yeah.
In Crowley's alternative schema, old systems of magic had to decline, per Fraser's framework, so that science and magic could synthesize into Magick with a K.
Yeah.
Simultaneously accept the existence of the supernatural and an experimental method. Crowley deliberately adopted an exceptionally broad definition of magic that included almost all forms of technology as magic, adopting an instrumentalist interpretation of magic, science, and technology. So I guess you probably could call our pod the Research and Magic Pod.
Yeah.
We do talk about some pretty scientific technology stuff, especially with the Russian one, if you want to listen more on how cell phones might be mind control.
Yeah.
Sexuality played an important role in Crowley's ideas about magic and his practice of it. This is getting into Operation Midnight Climax, and has been described as being central to thelema. He outlined 3 forms of sex magic: the autoerotic, jacking off; homosexual, having sex with the same sex; and heterosexual, having sex with the opposite sex. Clearly, he doesn't understand gender fluidity. Those are too rigid of terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have sex with someone of the same sex and then later end with someone of the different sex, right?
Yeah. Magic is racist.
Yeah.
Sexist, genderist.
Sexist. Yeah,
Sexist.
it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it is, it's wrong. Exactly.
It ain't woke.
Yeah, exactly. It ain't woke, so it's wrong. We need reparations for us. What about beast erotica or interspecies erotica? Sexual. And argue. So he outlined 3 forms of. So maybe those just aren't sex magic. Maybe I'm just being an idiot right now. Yeah, I probably am. Sorry, sex. Sorry, sex magic. Maybe those other ones aren't magical. Those other ones are the proper way to have sex. If it's just like man on man or man on woman or woman on woman or on yourself,
man on duck.
Then you're doing some sort of duck. That's okay. Then you're doing some sort of man on child. Okay. Then you're doing some sort of otherwise you're doing some sort of magic experiment. And argue that such acts could be used to focus the magician's will onto a specific goal, such as financial gain or personal creative success. So musing. So those kind of things can get you musing. So like if you think about like having lots of money and jack off to it, that's magic.
That's magic. Right on.
But yeah, if you have sex with a duck and you think about lots of money, that's just sex.
So it's like
or children.
It's like are those 3 forms of sex like at the same level of magic, or like is one more powerful than the other? You know, is the homosexual sex like the strongest form?
I hope so. I hope so, because I hope I'm really strong. Of getting raped,
Yeah.
in the army. But yeah, if you want to read more on that, there's probably a Wikipedia page on it and internet stuff. Of course, look it up. But that line is from The Thelmic Sex Magic of Aleister Crowley, written by Neville Drury in 2012. Pathways in Modern Western Magic. But so yeah, crazy shit. But yeah, to keep going on that, funny stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you don't think that's funny, I feel bad for you. You need to watch it over again.
You didn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to read a book and then watch it again. But yeah, for Crowley, sex was treated as a sacrament, with consumption of sexual fluids interpreted as a Eucharist. This was often manifested as the cakes of light, poop. I don't know what that is. A biscuit containing either menstrual blood or a mixture of semen and vaginal fluid. What's the cake?
Gross.
How's it a cake? Everything's a cake.
Did he?
Cakes of light.
Gross.
That's the name of this pod. That's the name of this pod. The cakes of light. Oh, you guys heard it here first. Sorry, guys. Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, there goes all our viewers.
Oh, I'm puking, but that's good. Yeah, if no one's gonna click on that title unless they don't know. I mean, yeah. So hopefully everyone does. The Gnostic Mass is central religious ceremony within Climax. So yeah, L. Ron Hubbard loved the Gnostic Mass and probably cakes of light and that stuff. Big semen biscuits. So like, I didn't realize when you do that like Limp Bizkit game as a child. Like I've never done it. That's totally disgusting. If anybody like started masturbating when I was hanging out in their basement as a kid, I would have left.
Yeah.
No matter what their age was, like 60 or like 6. But I guess that's a thing people do, or supposedly the culture. That's a urban legend maybe. But that would be creating a cake of light.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
That's some sex magic stuff. But yeah, so continuing with Crowley and where Operation Midnight Climax came from, the history of it. Crowley's theological beliefs were not clear. The historian Ronald Hunton noted that some of Crowley's writings could be used to argue that he was an atheist, while some support the idea that he was a polytheist. Polytheist is the worship of or belief in multi-deities, which are usually assembled in a pantheon of gods and goddesses along with their own religions and rituals. In most religions which accept polytheism, the different gods and goddesses are representation of forces in nature. Sorry, I can't speak. I never took religion classes before, but yeah. So polytheist is pretty cool. Idea.
Yeah, that's like Hindu.
That's like,
or like any religion before.
Or paganism if you believe in multiple religions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and others would bolster the idea that he was a mystical monotheist, belief in one God. But yeah, definitely, I think he's like some sort of mystical, fluidity, religious type of person. On the basics of the teaching in the book of the law, Crowley described a pantheon of 3 deities taken from ancient Egyptian pantheon, Nuit, Hadet, and Rahur-Kuit. So he definitely is a polytheist, believes in multiple deities. In 1928, he made the claim that all true deities were derived from this trinity. Jason Josephson Storm has argued that Crowley built on the 19th century attempts to link Christianity to pre-Christian religions, such as Fraser's Golden Bird, to synthesize Christian theology and neo-paganism while remaining critical of institutional and traditional Christianity. Why? Like, are you critical of neo-paganism as well? I think it's easy to be critical the same way we're critical of the government. That was the government of the times then.
Neo-pagans?
No, Christianity. It was like
Oh yeah.
it was like a way to control the
Yeah.
people and create order, and it was funded through a tax type of system, an income tax type of system. And then when people were taking income taxes from governments were created, that kind of has fallen by the wayside for the most part. But yeah, it was anyone with power overreaches it. And that's why politicians, just like bishops, jerk off kids and suck their dicks in adrenochrome.
Yeah.
but yeah, enough about Magick. So more about Aleister Crowley. Both during his life and after, Crowley was widely described as a Satanist, usually by detractors. People, I don't understand why people don't know Satanism is like not believing in deities or religion. Satanism is like a protest against religion, actually. So Crowley's not a Satanist, guys. He's a mystical polytheist. Crowley stated he did not consider himself a Satanist, nor did he worship Satan, as he did not accept the Christian worldview in which Satan was believed to exist. So maybe he is a bit of a Satanist. He nevertheless used satanic imagery, for instance, describing himself as the beast 666 and referring to the whore of Babylon in his work. While later in life he sent anti-Christmas cards to his friends in his writings. Crowley occasionally identified Aleister as Satan and designated him as our Lord God, the devil, at one occasion. The scholar of religion Gordon Jurdovic that Crowley was empathetically not a Satanist, if for no other reason than simply because he did not identify himself as such. Crowley nevertheless expressed strong anti-Christian sentiment, stating that he hated Christianity as socialists hate soap, an animosity probably stemming from his experiences among the Plymouth Brethren. He was nevertheless influenced by King James Bible, especially the Book of Revelations, the impact of which can be seen in his writings. He was also accused of advocating human sacrifice, largely because of a passage in Book 4 in which he stated a male child of perfect innocence and high intelligence is the most satisfactory victim, and added that he had sacrificed about 150 every year. This was a tongue-in-cheek reference to ejaculation.
What the fuck?
Does he mean 150 million? Because a lot of more sperm come out than 150. But
maybe they didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, something not realized by his critics, thus reflecting their own ignorance and prejudice towards Crowley. This is from Medway 2001, which is by Gareth Medway, Lure of the Sinister, the Unnatural History of Satanism. So that may be something interesting to look into. If you think Jeffrey Epstein stuff and the Clintons are doing that stuff on St. James Island, yeah, maybe you want to read more on that. That's a pretty crazy quote. But yeah, Aleister Crowley himself, we're kind of trying to save him for his own episode. This Wikipedia page would probably take me over an hour or so to go over it all deep with Todd.
He's an intense dude with lots of ties to a lot of different crazy stuff.
Yeah, but we'll do Aleister Crowley and theology, or whatever the hell it's called, later on. Just wanted to give you guys that deep dive on the history of Operation Midnight Climax.
Yeah, these are where George's ideas originated, I think. Or he was just a pervert, probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then, I guess, should I keep going on the... I don't know. George White. And
let's get back into that stuff, sorry. With LSD and...
Yeah. So I don't know where he was doing it. I think he was doing it a couple different places. One of them maybe was San Francisco. From what I understand, too, is he didn't go by George White when he took this job. He actually changed his name, used a pseudonym, and was a reporter and did reporting as his official job. Well, he lived in this hotel or some shit like that. I think it was a hotel they owned. It was like a fake hotel, though, where all the rooms actually had, like, like one-way mirrors, or like just one of the rooms. I'm not clear.
Yeah,
Probably just multiple.
yeah. It seemed that they had multiple safe houses in San Francisco, Marin County, California, and New York City.
Yeah, and they were just like
So around
videotaping.
San Francisco and NYC, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was reading one interview with one of the girls who did the job, like was one of the prostitutes. She was saying how there would be like camera crew guys, like full like camera crew with sound guy and shit, I'm assuming. They'd roll up and get behind the two-way glass, and then, you know, she'd bring the John up, whoever they decided. It seemed like they were targeting a lot of people they considered were enemies of the state. So like hippies and black people.
Yeah. Of course.
Because you know, they pulled the most against hate in Vietnam, I think, was what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And so that's mostly who they were bringing in. And they'd bring them up into the room, and then the prostitute would leave, and then they'd aerosol spray LSD into the room.
That's crazy. You'd be so destroyed.
Yeah, and then the girl would come back in, and, you know,
She'd
try and
probably
like,
get stoned after that too.
yeah, you'd think.
Yeah, you'd think. But yeah,
She
anyways.
probably had no idea what was even going on, but yeah.
Yeah.
She would go, and I think she would try to interrogate him for information, or I don't know, just have sex with him. I'm not sure.
She'd
Whatever
get a
George White
list
felt like that day, you know.
She'd get a list of questions to read everybody at the start of each go.
Yeah, yeah. The whole thing too also kind of just seems like a way for them to write off paying for prostitutes to sleep with the whole CIA. Like, because this chick would talk about how she and other people would have to do favors for like George and
That's so
other
dope.
dudes in the administration. So yeah, that's like when they didn't learn anything. They weren't learning anything. I mean, it's the whole Aleister Crowley thing bullshit, because they have looked into him a few times, but they always concluded he was too out there. George White's like, yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. Look into that stuff, huh?
Well, yeah. If you,
Black hole for money.
that's just like the whole last guy we talked about with Judge Salas. Roy Den Hollander.
Yeah.
He's totally insane. Of course, these people are the perfect people to hitch your wagon to.
Yeah.
Like, no, they're crazy. Like, we were just using them. Like Charles Vance.
Yeah. Apparently Charles, I think, was common to be seen at these places. I'm getting that from that other guy. Who wrote that book about Charles Manson?
Tom O'Neill.
Yeah, Tom O'Neill. I believe he was saying that there was people that worked at these things, and Charles Manson would come through with his girls.
Yeah, of course.
And they knew him as Charlie and the girls.
Even here. So yeah, I'm going to just quickly go over this really short article from discovermagazine.com.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's longer, but yeah, it's from August 3rd, 2008. So some really old internet stuff. And it's mind control. The CIA's experimentation with LSD led to disastrous results. So just like Todd's talking about, in 1950s, visitors to a brothel atop San Francisco's Telegraph Hill got more than just a tryst and a view of the bay. Clients were secretly dosed with LSD as CIA agents watched from behind a one-way mirror. Although it sounds like a bad late-night spy movie, Operation Midnight Climax, as it was called, was a very real part of a larger covert project called MK Ultra. In 1953, the director of Central Intelligence, Alan W. Dulles, officially approved MK Ultra, which sought chemical, biological, and radiological approaches to interrogation and behavior modification. Early on, the experiments employed volunteers, but as the government grew, ordinary American citizens and foreign nationals became unsuspecting subjects in the studies. At least one death was directly attributed to the experiments. Army scientist Frank Olson drank Cointreau, whatever that alcoholic beverage is, laced with LSD, and committed suicide a week later. Just like Roy Den Hollander killed somebody and died of suicide. But so maybe no LSD with Roy, maybe LSD. We don't know that part, but Frank Olson definitely LSD. So yeah, that was some pretty wild stuff. At the same time, he was also an army scientist, so technically a government employee that they dosed. So not as bad as taking over a citizen to become an assassin, like maybe Lee Harvey Oswald, maybe Jack Ruby, who's got ties to these guys too. Lots of different people. But yeah, anyways, to go further in this article, they launched into reckless experimentation without close medical supervision. So Aleister Crowley wasn't around to say like science, unless psychiatrist James S. Ketchum doesn't think science is medical. I don't know. But yeah, maybe he means like no medical training, just scientific training. Chemical warfare secrets almost forgotten. Recounts his participation in a different army project exploring the use of LSD as a chemical weapon. Moral issues were considered minor if greater national security could be obtained. LSD, radiation, and electroshock all ended up as dead ends in the MKUltra's program quest for mind control, supposedly. Still, the research for ways to penetrate minds continues. Recent studies suggest that non-invasive brain scans taken with a functional MRI make the mind more transparent. Private companies tout functional MRI as an improved lie detector, and the government has taken notice. Programs funded by the Department of Defense have looked into the feasibility of functional MRI research. Even so, plenty of people have their doubts. That bridge between consciousness and drug effects has yet to be crossed, and I don't know if it ever will be, Ketchum says. There is no true serum, supposedly. There's probably a true serum out there. I think if you give people enough LSD or alcohol, they'll tell you a lot of truth. Well, potentially, they still might not tell you the truth, but it's more likely they're not going to lie.
Yeah. It's just how you talk to them.
Yeah, lower their inhibitions however you can. Joe Rogan can do it. I think the CIA can. But fMRI, that's something to look into. This article's from 2008, so it's probably pretty far along study-wise now. But yeah, that's obviously some pretty crazy LSD stuff there. But yeah, Telegraph Hill is the spot, 225 Chestnut Street.
That's where they were doing it?
Yeah. So yeah, that's the crazy thing to me too, though. Like, San Francisco seems to have had ties to the CIA for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that big tech's there, and Incutel and Eric Schmidt all have some ties to Google and that stuff, like, and Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg may or may not be a continuation of LifeLog and Tesla and SpaceX and their ties to the government and
all these guys.
Also all sorts of things, just tech stuff related ties to the government, which is just interesting. CIA's there or was there in the past. You'd think they're probably there now. We're just 50 we're just 50 years behind on the news with when it comes to the CIA, right?
Yeah, that's always the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you think they're just letting Elon Musk shoot up satellites and spaceships and shit? He's not allowed to do that without fucking CIA clearance. Give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so with MKUltra, Midnight Climax.
Yeah.
Beyond the Telegraph Hill stuff, like, it expanded beyond Telegraph Hill for sure. CIA operatives began dosing people with acid in restaurants, bars, and beaches. They also used other more exotic drugs, so like maybe roofies and stuff. Like, probably CIA made it cool or acceptable. So if you roofie anybody, you're like basically a CIA agent, in my eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy stuff. But the agency began using the prostitutes to lure men of all sorts, not just marginal figures, back to safe houses. The project continued until 1963 when the CIA's Inspector General stumbled upon the safe houses and raised a ruckus. The Chestnut pad was shuttered in 1965.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, you got to share these girls. Come on."
Yeah, come on, Alan. Alan, you got to get Jeffrey. You got to do this through contractors like Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, you didn't subcontract any of our guys out.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the mafia, eh?
After they shot JFK in the head, they're like, okay, let's fix everything. Let's make it
Yeah.
get the mafia. White later recalled, I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie? Kill, cheat, steal, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of all the highest. Because the agency destroyed most of MK Ultra's files, no one will ever know how many lives and minds it's illegal and unethical activities damaged or destroyed.
I feel like when he said that, they must have dosed him before that interview. He was way too crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm just reading the end of this sfchronicle.com article.
Yeah.
But yeah, had New York Times reporter Seymour Hersh not exposed the CIA's illegal spying on Americans in 1974, opening the door to subsequent investigation, this weird and ugly chapter in U.S. history might never have come to light. So Todd, what do you think of New York Times? I honestly think it is a way that they get information out.
100%. I mean,
it has to have ties to government or CIA or shit. Like,
I just think it's
like this latest news, the news from lately, like it's through the New York Times, the UFO stuff. But yeah,
I know the UFO stuff.
Before you get into the UFO stuff, unless you were.
Yeah. Well, it's just like George White was a reporter while he was doing Midnight Climax. Like the CIA just has reporters working at every reporting station. I don't know if like maybe a bunch of their guys got fired. I don't know. Like they were all the dudes that got fired from the Me Too movements. You know? I don't know. And that only they survive in the New York Times, and that's why so many stories are coming out of there. But yeah, it does seem like, especially with all this UFO stuff, because the New York Times have reported on the Pentagon's UFO program once every year for the past 4 years. They've come out with a story. For 3 years, the story was the exact same. And it seems to originate with them always.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say, though. I mean, like, it's really easy, I think, to feed information to people because it's just like if you have a CIA credentials, like people are just like, oh, you got information, and then they're just so happy that they got the inside scoop. Doesn't matter what you say to them, right?
That's true too. You're right. Even if they're not infiltrating and being journalists anymore, they're like they might put that work at arm's length and feed whatever information they want to the New York Times. Who were the guys? Like, what were you saying, sorry?
I was just gonna ask if you know who owns the New York Times. I'm not. I don't think I'm.
Let me look that up for us. But who are the? While I'm looking that up, who are the guys that? What the fuck? Sorry. Who are the guys on the Joe Rogan pod who were CIA guys who were like giving him misinformation? Wasn't that, or telling him that like they do that? There was some sort of. Was it Mike Baker?
The two guys on recently?
I don't remember when it was.
I can't remember.
But it might have been Mike Baker or someone like that who was saying like, oh yeah, sometimes you just give misinformation with information. Like, you know, like the way Alex Jones calls info.
Yeah. It was one of those CIA guys.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like a lot of the time. Like every guy I've seen that has come out with big conspiracy stuff that ended up being true always says a bunch of crazy stuff, and they have contacts on the inside.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the New York Times is a publicly traded company. It's owned by Arthur Gregg Salzburger, A.G. Salzburg. He was only born 1980 because it's a family thing.
Oh, okay.
The paper is owned by the New York Times Company, which is public tradedly and controlled by the Salzburger family. no thing on the Salzburger family. But if we look further at Arthur Ochs Salzburger Jr., it doesn't have too much on him. Parent Arthur Punk Salzburger, Salzburger Senior. We're checking him. Years active 63 to 6. Arthur Hayes Salzburger. Let's see. Sorry.
Squeaky clean.
Was the publisher from 1935. Cyrus Leopold Zeisberger. So we'll start with his thing. It's super shortened thing. American merchant and philanthropist. He was president of the Jewish Agricultural and Industrial Aid Society. Salzburger was born in Philly to Leopold Salzburger and Sophia Lindauer. Leopold had a brother, Abraham Salzburger, and they both migrated from Heidelsheim, Germany to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So they immigrated very early in the 1800s. Cool. That family. But yeah, let's go back to who was the one before him, sorry? Arthur Hayes Salzburger. So I just want to read this here. Salzburger graduated from Horace Mann School in 1909, graduated from Columbia College in 1913, married Iphigene Bertha Ochs in 1917. So I don't know, he didn't end up going to the war, it seemed like. 1918, he began working at the Times and became a publisher when his father-in-law, Adolphe Ochs, the previous Times published for sure. So, it got passed down from that side of the family. So now we're getting into Adolphe Ochs. We might have, sorry to make this so fucking boring. I'm just trying to dig through to the start of the time.
Yeah.
So
they do good stuff too, though.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, it would be interesting to see where it started. Chattanooga Times and the New York Times. At the age of 19, he borrowed $250 from his family to purchase a controlling interest in the Chattanooga Times and become its publisher. He was one of the founders of the Southern Associated Press and served as president. In 1896, he was advised by the New York Times reporter that the paper could be bought at a greatly reduced price. Yeah. So that's how it got into the Salzburger family. Ochs bought it a very long time ago. We'll have to dig deeper into Salzburger and maybe even deeper into the history of the New York Times to really know what's going on. But yeah, it's a publicly traded company, so you know what that's like. The CEO's getting paid 10 times what all these reporters are getting paid. He doesn't give a shit who's working there.
Yeah.
He'd hire a few CIA agents, those publishers.
Yeah, as long as they gave him a nice cut.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the New York Times was founded in 1851, has 130 Pulitzer Prizes, and is ranked as the top 18 in the world, third in the U.S. So it's a pretty classy paper. The CIA's just infiltrated everything at every level. They've even got podcasts. But I honestly think it's potential that the CIA's handling Joe Rogan or potentially other podcasters.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Just handling
only dissenting ones.
Yeah. There's people that aren't going on Joe Rogan because the CIA's approached them or prevented them or infiltrated them or their groups with the counterintelligence. Because that's the thing, everybody forgets counterintelligence is such a huge weapon. Like this mind control stuff with the LSD and just randomly doing the prostitute experiment type of things. But yeah, there was also a Washington Post article on this whole thing. So going beyond the Seymour Hersh stuff, let's see what the Washington Post has on it. A good Jeff Bezos owned paper, So this is from 2005. John K. Vance, 89, died May 27 of respiratory arrest in 2005. So that was pretty old age, lived to the ripe old age. Intrigued by reports of mind control techniques allegedly conducted by Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean agents on U.S. prisoners of war during the Korean War. So yeah, we'll have to go deeper on the Korean War for you guys too. We did go deep with some of our past pods on World War II. A lot of this stuff was being done by the Nazis, brought over. Maybe it was not weaponized so much by the Nazis, just more or less an experiment on how to torture people.
The more unethical stuff came from the Nazis. Before that, we were just using weed.
I think Korean War was like they were actually administering it. They had it controlled at that point, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, if it's being used by Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean agents, Soviet, maybe they got the better documents.
Yeah. Well, those were also excuses just to get more funding. I mean,
very true.
The time if you watch our old pods, we talked about how by the time they had realized that a lot of these experiments had already started by the Navy.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of these experiments were being done by the Navy. That's true. Like the U.S. was up to stuff on their own terms. It was just like they were still conquering, taking over at that
world.
Time. Yeah, exactly. The whole world. So things were going great for them there, and they were just compiling the research, and that's why they ended up just getting so strong and overreaching completely. But yeah, to go deeper on Mr. John K. Vance there, I'm just going to R.I.P. him, lived to the ripe old age of 89, even if he might have been a murderer or whatever. We're going to respect. And I'm going to just read this obit type of thing. So Mr. Vance learned about MK Ultra in the spring of 1963 during a wide-ranging Inspector General survey of the agency's Technical Services Division. The Inspector General's report said the concepts involved in manipulating human behavior are found by many people, both within and outside the agency, to be distasteful and unethical. As a result of Mr. Vance's discovery and the Inspector General's report, the CIA halted the testing and began scaling back the project. It was terminated in the late 1960s, probably replaced with something way more top secret. So Inspector Generals couldn't infiltrate anymore.
Yeah.
So MK Ultra came to public light in 1977. We already went over this 100 times. Mr. Vance gave several phone interviews to committee staff, but never had to testify. Mr. Vance was born in Seward, Nebraska, graduated magna cum laude from Doane College in Nebraska in 1936. He received a master's degree in economics from Columbia in 1937 and a bachelor's degree in library science from Columbia in 1939. Why did he get a bachelor's degree after graduating magna cum laude and getting a master's in economics? So weird. He began working on his doctorate at Harvard University during World War II, but soon was serving in the army. He was sent to language school to learn German and worked as a military interpreter at the post-war Nuremberg trials. In Nuremberg, he met people in the intelligence world.
Yeah.
His CIA career began in 1947. He was on the Inspector General's staff from 1960 to 1963, and then became the director of Central Reference until his retirement in 1971. So before we get into him being a huge just liar to Congress, basically, a member of the Maryland Ornithological Society and the Maryland Nature Conservancy, Mr. Vance helped in bird banding and also enjoyed gardening, biking, tennis, and travel. He was a member of the Cedar Lane Unitarian Church in Bethesda. So, and had 8 grandchildren, 5 great-grandsons, 3 daughters, and a wife who was 64 years. So he was together with her for a long time. But yeah, either he was just a interpreter and had these people were using him and he didn't know what the fuck was really going on.
Yeah.
But you would think if he was interpreting for the Nazis, like he'd be deep into this unethical stuff.
Yeah.
And understand it and know what to look for later. So maybe good Inspector General, but I don't trust the Inspector Generals are ever that good.
No, I don't trust anybody.
Yeah. I gotta go to the bathroom quick, Todd. Do you got anything to say for a couple minutes or?
I don't know.
All right.
I guess.
Yeah, let these people know anything you want about Midnight Climax. I'll be back.
So, Midnight Climax stuff and things. You sure? Didn't go well.
Did you get into the New York Times UFO stuff yet?
No, I didn't even say anything.
Oh, shit. I thought you'd get right into that.
No, I didn't. Fuck.
No worries. Hopefully I was quick.
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't that long.
The bunker's exposed. But yeah, so that UFO stuff with New York Times is pretty crazy to get back on that.
Yeah.
New York Times government agency type stuff. Did we even mention it earlier? I don't think
we brought it up a little bit. We talked about it for a minute.
Just New York Times though. That whole UFO article was like what kind of made me think, what the hell is going on at this organization?
Yeah. Because so if you haven't seen the UFO article, it's like saying that the Pentagon has off-world some sort of off-world thing. They're really vague about it.
Yeah, I haven't read it at all.
It sounds like for the first time they're saying though they actually contain something that it comes from somewhere else. So it could just be like a meteorite, really. I mean, how vague they're being about it. It's just they have a material that isn't from Earth, probably. It's like a new metal, maybe.
They can change their mind to say it's about whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But the implication, it seems they're implying, is like it's some sort of drone.
Yeah.
They don't know, though. I don't know. It's it's just like, I don't know if you remember that a giant rock flew really fast past the Earth, came into the solar system, and just like flew into the solar system and then flew out. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd just be like one of those things, like landed here, though.
A rock broke up and fell.
Yeah, like that'd be it. But I don't know. It seems to be super vague. The thing that's weird is that like the Pentagon, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe it's even 5 now, released like 1 to 3 videos that were supposedly U.S. aircraft, like spotting UFOs, and there's like people talking, and there's like a weird thing flying around and stuff.
Yep.
And,
I remember that.
The New York Times, they reported on the same 3 videos for like 5 years. Like they've done an article on it every year. It's the same video, and they interview like the same guy. His name's like Alonso Gonzalez or something. He's like ex-CIA. He's also one of the boards of directors that works with fucking the rock star guy. What's his name?
Richard
so
Branson?
Bad with names. Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I was thinking someone completely different.
Yeah. So Tom DeLonge's organization, To the Stars, the guy who's been coming out with all this information, the ex-CIA guy, Alonso Gonzalez, or I don't know, I'm probably getting that wrong.
No worries.
he's one of the board of directors. Like,
wow.
That whole Tom DeLonge thing's super weird too. Like the board of directors for his organization is like that dude, ex-CIA, and like an ex-Boeing guy, an ex.
They got
FBI
Tom DeLonge
agent.
with the LSD.
Yeah.
He's part of an MK Ultra experiment. But it definitely seems like a mass confusion type of thing. And
I just don't understand it. It's all just seems like they want us to think they're UFOs. The weirdest thing I think is that there isn't more coverage. Like there isn't really a whole lot of bunch of people being like, wow, there's UFOs. Like people are just so over it. They're just like, this is bullshit.
It's picking up right now. Like a lot of people seem to cover this latest story with popular mechanics and that, like, or at least rewrite it. But like, I think it's more to do with Space Force existing, and like the CIA just needs to get more satellites up in the air to keep an eye on China and like keep and keep that research high. So that's why Space Force was created, and if you want to listen to more on space weapons and Space Force and the Netflix show a bit, we got an episode on that. But I think they're pushing that narrative, and they have to kind of
Well,
this is all speculative, of course, but they have to kind of keep pushing it out in order to get these budget things approved. Billions and billions of dollars to go to the Space Force and the NRO and all that stuff. And like in the Duncan Trussell story that I sent your way, it's a New York Times reply. Some Andy from San Francisco. So probably some CIA agent if he's from San Francisco. But very interesting article to say the least. Am I correct in assuming one of the following is true? The government or people closely associated with it has successfully conspired for decades to suppress evidence of alien visitation. The government or people closely associated with it are currently conspiring to make us think alien visitation evidence has been suppressed. 3, a bunch of people in and around the government are very confused, but not least Trump. Ralph Blumenthal, contributor. Andy, 1 in 3 may not be far off. That's like what 2 is the right answer.
Yeah.
2 is clearly the most obvious answer. Like
I know.
They're trying to get people to think aliens are attacking us.
Yeah.
So we need a Space Force. Like we've conquered the world. We're not allowed
now we gotta conquer space.
We're not allowed to shoot North Koreans in the face. We're not allowed to shoot Iranians in the face. We're not allowed to shoot Venezuelans in the face, or like we're not allowed to shoot Syrians in the face or gas them with chemical warfare. Like no one's okay with this. So we have to go into space to use our weapons. Like, so we have to get people on board. Like, there's literally no evidence. Like if an alien was able to come to Earth, crashing? What? Have you seen Star Trek? Like, there's no the shields aren't working. Whoa, like the people that can't even fucking travel past the moon are gonna make weapons that
can take down spaceships.
Exactly. Or these spaceships are gonna just like run in too low into Earth's orbit and fall. Like even though like they can see what you had for lunch from a satellite. Like if you're on a patio, like unless these spaceships are driving into the Pentagon, there's no reason they need to get within orbit. So why would we ever see them? Like, I just don't understand how I'm being as practical as I can with the technology we have. So like, I understand anybody thinking the way they have, and I understand the whole Berkshire UFO thing. We'll go deeper on UFOs because alien abductions deserve a response more than what I've said so far, where it's like the government probably just gave a bunch of people DMT, which is also possible through water supplies. I'm not going to get into that. Because they've done it with the ergot thing in France. Like that's a thing that will know happen. So, but yeah, can't get into that right now. You got to respect a lot of abduction stories. But what do you think, Todd? Do you think it's possible aliens were walking around the world and the government took them over or some shit?
I mean, I just wish, but no. I'm just like I want there to be. I want to fight some aliens. Do it. No, I don't know. It's tricky.
Highly doubtable.
The other thing they keep trying to push is like I can't remember who it is. It's Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio who are trying to fucking get this stuff out. They've told the Pentagon that they have to release whatever they have, and he implied when he was saying that in one of the articles I read that like there are crafts reconning our things. Like you're saying, they're just floating right above our military installations. And I forget who it was. I wish I knew. We'll say Marco Rubio. He was saying that we only hope that it's aliens, because if it's Russians or Chinese, they've jumped ahead in science so far. And then if you look at it from the aspect that you're saying, I mean, America has such a huge military budget. You can include Russia and China's and like 4 other countries all together to get America's military budget.
Yeah.
It's like they probably have jumped way ahead technology-wise and haven't really told us all that much. You know what I mean? So what?
Yeah,
how
would
do we
know
know
the Chinese budget if everything's free there?
Yeah.
Like they if the state runs everything and they just mine it from the ground and turn it into whatever, there's no
that's
paper
true.
trail.
That's true.
But
trying to play games.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. But yeah, how many secret American satellites could there be?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, what if like the CIA just goes around testing their new recon planes, and then they're like, oh, they're aliens for like what you're saying. So then we can push out a space force.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's true. It could be compared to the Nova Scotia mass murder thing. Like, there might be some news on that now. I don't know. I didn't check that coming at 1 p.m. But for on Friday. But for the RCMP's main line to the press has been, we can't say anything because it's going to jeopardize investigations. So if the CIA or whatever military organization can't say what they're working on, it's a UFO.
Yeah.
And that's the story. That's like the top level story that they're going to give to the public and the media. It's unidentified because we can't identify it legally because we're tied to all these NDAs to keep our jobs. Like Operation Midnight Climax.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think New York Times, hard to trust. A lot of this stuff, though, about Midnight Climax is common knowledge now. CIA's around San Francisco, so be wary of big tech in San Francisco.
Yeah.
But the one thing about the message, the very last one that I think, again, a bunch of people in and around the government are very confused, not least Trump. So
I didn't really understand that one.
Is
he
Andy
the most confused or least confused? I don't understand that sentence.
If Andy from San Francisco is CIA and his job, he told Ralph this stuff and his job was to reply so Ralph could answer it.
Yeah.
Like, and make people not think, number two, that they're trying to pretend aliens exist for a space force. They also want to disrupt Trump, Pompeo, and Bill Barr. Like, why is Trump not pushing the anti-China message as hard as he was before? And why is it Bill Barr and Pompeo now?
Because he's
Did Trump catch on he's getting controlled by the CIA, or is his dementia gone too far? What's going on?
Well, I think
is that why he's getting ousted? Because
I think it has a lot to do with, like, I don't know if you remember a year or so ago, Ivanka had been making all kinds of deals with the Chinese government. Like, I feel like Trump's a little bit more in than the rest of his crowd is with the Chinese.
Nice.
Like, Ivanka has exclusive rights to sell, I don't know, clothes or makeup, whatever the fuck she sells. She has exclusive rights to sell it in China, which is like hard to get. And that's why he let up on the phone company. He was pushing hard on them, and then that deal went through, and then he let off with them. Wow. Huawei or whatever. Yeah.
Huawei.
We'll cover that more later if you want. If you cover that.
Because that goes deep into that's a big Canada problem right now too with the other guys too. Michael Sporvig and the other guys. But yeah, that's all I got for now. You got anything else you want to say to the people about?
Nope.
Anything? Yeah, not at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll have more for you. Just pumped out a lot of content now. Changing up when we're recording our recording time, so we're getting used to that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna try and bring you the bonus pods as quick as we can, and the other pods we'll keep bringing them out like we have been Fridays at 4:20. So
yeah,
stay tuned for that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing with your friends. Thanks for those 5-star ratings. Thanks for those likes. Thanks for the follows on IG. We just got to 2,000, just past 2,000. So appreciate the love there. And IGTV is dope. I don't know how good the search is, but I think it's better than YouTube. Other than the fact, I guess they kicked Schulz off for Andrew Schulz for saying Ghislaine Maxwell's Guilty.
Yeah. Being too factual.
Yeah, exactly. Even though she says she's not guilty. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get more into that stuff again eventually. But if you want to listen
Yeah,
to
because you guys love it so much.
exactly,
Fucking
watch-
weirdos.
searching up those pods, those conspiracies. And yeah, I know a lot of QAnons looking us up, but we're not getting into that fake conspiracy shit. Only the real stuff, only the research. We're sticking to the research and psychedelics.
The facts.
Yeah, that's why we call our show Research and Psychedelic Drug Show. The new search for the truth drug serum. But yeah, thanks again for watching this long. If you already turned it off, we hope you
Fuck you.
get a blowjob from a blender or a food processor. All right. Peace out, homies.
Peace.